Alright, what up YouTube? So this is going to be part 2 of the Honda Civic K24 EG hatch build. And today we got our donor car. As you can see, is a FA5. And it's got some pretty good parts on it. We'll go over that in a little bit. But pretty much this swap is a K24 A JDM RBB3. So it's a nice good motor, low mileage. We got the Z3 tranny with LSD. So that's perfect. Most of the parts are ordered for the build right now, so we're just going to be waiting on that. Today we're pretty much going to be dropping this swap out and getting it all ready, cleaned up for the swap to go into the EG hatch. So far, this car has the JDM fenders. It does have the little fender grabber or holder things that kind of annoying, but it's still a good fender with the side marker. It does have a low mileage cluster if anybody is interested, because a lot of these parts we're not going to need. It has 82,000 miles on it. The center cluster is actually works. It's in pretty decent condition. Doors, this door's no good. Driver door is good. This is the JDM trunk. It did have a wing on it, so that's the reason why it's drilled out, but still good condition. If you want to put your own wing on there, especially if you're doing like a Mugen kit on your FA5. It's got, this wheel is kind of scratched up, but it's still decent. This door is good. And this door is good. This is the other side of the JDM fender. And then the hood. It's kind of, you can't really see it, but sort of has like ripples on it. Still not bad though, it's still the Japanese hood. Other than that, like, mounts are for sale. And all the interior parts too, so if anybody's looking for a black interior conversion as well. This seat actually did airbag exploded, so you would have to replace that. Also has a dual den. Any parts are needed, just hit me up on the comment section, or you hit me up on Instagram at rarewitted_. We'll start the car up real fast. Alright, so motor's good and everything. Right now, we're going to start getting to taking this out. So I'm going to take out the battery, get to the radiator support, start getting everything out of here, and I will do step by step. Also, the ECU and the mobilizer with key is available as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting these things apart, and then we'll come back. Alright, so we're back now. We got the intake taken off. We got our battery out of here. I took out the ECU. They're just 3 10mm bolts. Next thing we're going to get to is get to the shift linkage. I kind of took the pins out already. There's 312s right here. We're just going to take those off so it'll be easier to drop, and then we'll get to the linkage later in the inside. Other than that, I got the condenser out as well. I'm probably going to start draining the coolant, and then we're going to get our shifter cables off. We got 212s for the slave cylinder. We'll take that off as well. And then I will probably start getting to this. So we gotta take this bracket off right here for the harness. They just push up and pull Well, also on these, you pretty much just push these down, and then those snap back to take the ECU out. Kind of skipped over that. We'll also be getting to the charge harness and everything, so you're gonna take these with some Phillips. I think they're 8mm as well. We'll get to that, the slave, the shift linkage, and then we'll come back and see what else we gotta do. All right, so we got our shift linkage disconnected. We got our slave cylinder off the transmission. We got a ground right here we need to get to. Next, also took off the charge harness off the fuse box. I want to get to the AC line, so that's a 10mm right there, and a 10mm at the bottom. And then we're gonna disconnect the brake booster line, fuel, and evap. And then we're gonna get this tray out of here too. So we got 12 right here, 12 right here, and I think 2 12s at the bottom. And then we're gonna disconnect this bracket too. It's 2 10s right here, and then we'll come back and see what else we gotta do. Alright, so we got our battery tray out. I took the radiator out with the fans. Got the upper and lower radiator hoses out. Took the ground off. And I got all the AC lines out. Next thing I'm going to do, I was supposed to do the 3 hoses, but I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to take off the fuel, the evap, and the brake booster hose. And then after that, I believe we should start getting to the suspension and start getting to the exhaust as well. So I'm going to go ahead and knock these out real fast. It's just going to disconnect from right here, because we're probably just going to reuse this hose for the swap. And then the fuel and the evap doesn't matter. The evap we're not using, and fuel we're running a whole new system, so I'm just going to cut those. Other than that, we'll do that. We got the rear heater hoses as well. We're just going to take them off from right here, but we're actually going to reuse them, so once the motor's out, we'll take those out. Other than that, we'll get to the mounts after we do the suspension. So I'm going to go ahead and start knocking those out, and then we'll come back and see what we got to do next. Alright, so we got our brake booster, fuel, evap out. I got our rear heater hoses out of here. Pretty much everything up top is almost ready, besides the mounts. Should be another ground over here somewhere. Right there. I'm going to get that ground. It's just a 10mm. Other than that, I'm going to start getting on the wheels, jacking it up on the jack stands, start taking off the suspension, and we got to get to the subframe as well. So we're going to start knocking that out, and we'll come back. Alright, so we got the car jacked up on the stands right now. So what we need to get to is the rear engine mount. That's a 19mm. And then we're going to do the front one. It's supposed to be a 17 up there. And then we're going to take off these 4 bolts. One right here, and the other one is right here. And we also got to disconnect the electronic power steering. And we use a 10mm for the steering rack. On the inside we got to get to. So we got to take out a 10mm out there. And also, if you guys are doing this swap, make sure you lock the steering wheel, because you can actually sell the little ABS thing in here. A lot of people break them when they're actually doing swaps and everything. So we're gonna get to that, and then we'll be able to get also to these. These are 17s right here. Disconnect the spindles and start getting this subframe off. After that, then we can start going back to the top mounts. We'll get to these, and then we can drop the engine. So we'll go ahead and get to this frame and these motor mounts at the bottom, and then we'll come back. Alright, so we're back now. We got the subframe disconnected. So just to go over, 10mm right here. You got to disconnect these 4 plugs for the electrical power steering, the tie rods, and then I disconnected the 3 17s on each side for the spindles, and then 4 17s for the actual subframe, and 1 19 for the rear mount. So that's out. Next thing I'm gonna get to, I just started draining the oil out of the transmission. Probably get to the axles right now, and you just use a little pry bar pretty much to pry those out. And then on the other side, I usually take it out with the whole half shaft just so it's a lot easier. So I'll probably take out the half shaft. There's 317s down there. And then we got to get to the exhaust. Those two bolts right there, I believe those are 212s. And then on the half shaft there's 3 for the shield, and then 3 bolts that are 14s for the actual half shaft. So we're gonna knock those out, and then I believe after that we should be able to get the mounts on top, and then we'll drop the engine out, lift it up over the motor, and then that'll pretty much be the ending of this video. So I'm gonna knock these axles out, and then we'll come back. Alright, so we got our axles out. I disconnected the exhaust already, so pretty much ready to go. As you can see, it is LSD. You can see right through it. If it's not LSD, you'll have a bar in there. So all SIs pretty much came with the Type R LSD stock, so that is one reason why a lot of people like these transmissions. The only thing is they are kind of expensive to run. Either way, you're gonna have to get the hybrid box, or you're gonna have to run the cord shift cables with the K-tune. That'd probably be a cheaper route. But right now, I'm gonna go ahead and start getting this thing lowered so we can drop the motor and start getting this thing pulled out. So we'll go ahead and knock this out real fast, and we'll be back. All right, guys. So the K24 is out. Pretty much, all I did was lift it up with the jack with a piece of wood, pull it out. Next thing we're gonna do is get to the center console, and well, it's locked on the side. Pretty much gonna take the center console out, and then we'll get to the shift cables. There's a 10, I believe, under for a bracket, and pretty much that's gonna be it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these out, and then we'll go ahead and end the video. Alright, so we got the shift linkage out. Pretty much I want to go over it. So one way, I think this way pretty much twists this way to get these off, and this one shifts the other way. Now there's 2 10mm here, 2 10s right here, 2 10s right here, and then obviously the 312s that were on the actual transmission. We're going to be running a hybrid racing shifter box, so we'll be using the pretty much the bolt-in shifter box from hybrid, so we won't be using the stock one, just the lines and the bracket. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. We got the motor swap out, and pretty much everything we need out of here. I'm gonna go ahead and start stripping down the rest of the parts. If anybody does need anything, you can hit me up on Instagram, rarewooded_, or hit me up with a comment. Other than that, if you haven't, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys on the next video.